Leslie is the president of RUFF, and she's great. So that's
Hi guys, thanks for inviting us to come in and give an update. We have completed the pilot phase of the dog park, which is located in the flights over by the Gassy. It ran from May to July. The city and neighborhood support that we were getting has deemed it a success. So we are moving forward to make the pilot park right now into a permanent addition to the neighborhood. What that really means is lighting, water, drainage, general updates. The park will look different, but we're happy, we're excited. I think the feedback that we've got has been overwhelmingly positive. We had one minor act of violence like the second day we were open where a bunch of kids from the neighborhood knocked over a 300-pound fire hydrant. It's not bolted down, but it is 300 pounds. So that happened, but ever since then, everything has been perfect. Nothing to report whatsoever. Our board and a handful of volunteers do still lock and unlock the park every night. We are working to put automatic locks in the park just for longevity. It wears on the 5 of us a little bit. And it would also offer much more consistency with the time as far as opening and closing. So if there's only one person to close the park that night and they can only do it at 7:30, that's how it works out. So we'd love to be more consistent on that moving forward. But I brought some fun grass samples for everyone to see, because visual aids are always fun, so we'll pass these around. This is the proposed surfacing that will go into the park. You can see on the back, it's not like regular turf, it's knitted. So drainage is probably the most important thing when it comes to a dog park. So with regular turf, you know, the liquid goes down and it looks for a hole, but this is just like real grass, so it goes straight down into the drainage underneath. This is specifically called canine grass. The fibers of the grass blades are built with an antimicrobial component which helps with bacteria and all that good stuff. They have a whole pamphlet here. If you're interested, you can look at it. They're really, really big on being clean. That's their big thing. That's why we like it. Very durable. I talked to a dog park in Minnesota who also used this. So snow was a real big question for us. They were big fans. So we were happy to hear that. A sprinkler system will be installed with it. It will get cleaned every night. 1 week. A disinfectant goes on, the next week an enzyme goes on, and that's sort of how the process works with this to kill all the bacteria, so that's really reassuring for us. There is a brush that's special with turf, and it would get vacuumed for hair and stuff just to keep it draining well once a month. So we're working on our budget. It's due to the city tomorrow, so it's been a long week. But we're getting there. we do have a grant for it, but RUFF is on the hook to come up with about $25,000, which we think is very, very possible. We've had a couple of little fundraisers over the summer in the park. We try to utilize the park once a month for group activity. We had a couple of socials and just small stuff like that. We have a very big fundraiser coming up October 10th, so mark your calendars. It's a dog show for fun, nothing too serious, but spectators are welcome. We'll have a bunch of vendors there, local people getting involved, so that'll just be the kickoff for our fundraising efforts for the park.
Where are you having that?
In the park. Yep. The bigger bottom flight will be the show area. Most of the vendors will be upstairs. So. I'm sorry?
We have a little park on Richmond Street.
Yep.
And I always complain because my dog with those
the pebbles.
The pebbles.
Yeah.
Bleeding out to the hospital. The dog was doing it. So I suggested to have this kind of floor instead of the pebbles. We can do something like this
in Richmond Street. Richmond Street is a different project. It's actually owned by Mass DOT versus the Flights, which is owned by the city. So the money comes from different places, and we are a very small nonprofit organization, so our resources are limited. This is our big project. We love Richmond Street. It just got lighting and an expansion, so we do care about it, but right now the funding is not focused on Richmond Street.
We can organize fundraise for this.
Well, even if we could, unfortunately, Richmond Street will never be an official dog park because it's not owned by the city. It's owned by Mass DOT because it abuts the tunnel ramp. And DOT has come out on the record saying they're not in the business of running parks. They're very graciously allowing us to use their space for a dog park unofficially, but officially they're not interested in funding a park in that space.
And will they allow you to put in turf?
Turf is very expensive.
Yeah.
And the only reason we can afford to even think about it for the Gassy Flights is because we've got a foundation that's willing to write a big check for us.
Right. This type, especially this canine grass with the drainage and all the cleanliness stuff that goes with it, is extremely expensive. But given the size of the space and frankly the feedback that we got from the neighborhood when we were even thinking about a dog park, that was our #1 priority. So.
And dogs love it.
Yeah.
We'll probably get a lot more use, a lot more dogs visiting the park once
Come
we
and
get the
check
turf
it.
installed.
Bring your dog. Have them check
I
this.
went there not long ago and it was closed. I couldn't open the gate.
What?
It was during the daytime.
Was it during St. Anthony's Feast? That's the only time we were closed during the day.
Yeah.
The weekend of the feast, we had the park closed for 3 days.
I don't remember.
Yes.
Just one quick question. This will be the first winter. Now, if you have that put in place, they tested it any place? Well, 2 questions. One, will you have access and somebody, I don't know, clear it off, or will you be able to use that during the winter time
So
for the dogs?
the permanent park won't really go into getting built and be completed until like spring, summer 2016.
Oh, okay. So you won't be able to
So-
test that for this
Right,
season?
but I mentioned I did speak to a dog park in Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
And they have a fair bit of snow there.
Yeah.
So this winter is going to be a trial period on the park anyways. How
Okay.
accessible is it really going to be for us, you know, and whatnot? So we'll see how this winter goes. And
If we get another winter like the last one, then there won't be a lot of activity at the.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was
That's for
wondering,
sure.
if the dogs, if the gate and stuff. And part 2, when you set this up, now that you've gone through the test period, I've heard some people concerned that they want to have it like split a little bit, but one area for smaller dogs and one for larger dogs. I don't know if it matters, but
correct, it's built like that actually currently.
it is going to be like that now.
It is
that-
now.
right now.
And
You're not going to change it.
And nope, it's going to
Okay.
stay the same way. The upper level, the smaller area is built, we recommend it for smaller dogs. We even have ramps that go up into a tree bed area for the little dogs so they
So
can
that
access it.
preliminary, that's, you know, the thing you had to go through first, that's going to stay.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, the whole pilot park has been an experiment to see what works and doesn't work.
That's right,
And we
yeah.
found out that basically we set the limit for the upper area for smaller dogs at 25 pounds. So if you have a dog over 25 pounds, we strongly recommend that you go
Goes in the
down to
diet.
the lower level.
Okay, thank you.
But the small dog
Any
loves
other
the
questions?
big dog.
Dave?
Well, first of all, I think it's terrific. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
the park. I even enjoy going over. I don't have a dog, but I enjoy going over and looking down and watching what's going on down there.
Thank you.
And the best benefit is it drove out all the illicit activity that used to take place in those areas. Terrific. I do have a couple of concerns and then a recommendation. One concern is, well, maybe it's a question. So I assume that the temporary status will continue, it's being extended until the permanent improvements go in. But
Correct.
you don't have a schedule yet for the permanent improvements?
So, tentative, I mean, everything is, we're working with the city on this. This is our partnership, so it's a process. Like I said, our preliminary budget is due in tomorrow, and they're hoping to put out to bid to designers within the month. So then over the winter will be the planning process, and if everything stays on schedule, spring 2016, just kind of how like we did the pilot will be the go-day.
My friendly complaint is that the hours are not adequate, they're not long enough.
Agreed.
They're not early enough and they're not late enough. There are many dog owners walking their dogs, even in that area, after 7:30 at night. Many people don't even get home until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. So I do hope it can be extended. And one possible way of doing that is to find out who those dog owners are that walk their dogs late at night and get them to volunteer to close it up at a later
It
time.
won't be an issue in the permanent park because one, we'll have lights installed in the permanent park that will illuminate it. So we've been essentially closing it at dusk every night because it's not adequately lit right now.
Okay.
And secondly, we'll have automatic locks on the park. So we won't rely on volunteers. We'll have a schedule. It'll open at dawn, like 6:30, and then we'll figure out with the neighborhood what's the appropriate
I
time to
wasn't sure
close
what
at
you
night.
meant by that, but
Yeah,
all right. And so what are you thinking in terms of for the late night?
9 or 10?
Probably 9, yeah, 9 or 10, yeah.
And have you thought about membership? There's probably advantages and disadvantages of that, but I know that some dog parks in the city have memberships whereby you become a member, you pay dues, those dues contribute to funding the upkeep of the park, maybe that even contribute to matching the fund that you're getting. And there may be some other advantages of having membership. Have you looked into that at all?
We did a ton of research actually on this subject when we were looking into parcel 12. And Amy, and who couldn't be here tonight, but she wished she could, we just met with the counselor last week and we kind of talked about membership. The problem is this is a city-owned park, so sort of charging a fee to use a public space is tricky.
Yep.
So depending on what it will cost to upkeep down the line, as in perhaps, you know, the 5 of us on the board of RUFF don't exist anymore, to keep the longevity going, is a membership something that's necessary? So it is something that's on our radar. It's not something we're pushing at this stage. I have to give huge thanks to our membership. When we do make a call that we need funding for bags, all the bags that you see in the neighborhood are donated. So, or when we need funding, they respond. We have had an outpouring of support. So the money is there from our membership who does care, and I think if that was something that we had to do, or we got to the point where we charged a membership, I think it would be supported. But at this stage in the game, just given that it's a public space, it's not something that we're really.
So we would be asking membership fees to belong to NURA, not necessarily access fees to the park, since it's a public park.
How about membership, like you've been about all the time, membership, no membership fees, but membership keys. Everybody has their own key that's a member, so you can keep it out, you don't have to, can't lock it at a specific time, yeah?
Yeah, it just opens up a huge can of worms.
The park
Someone
department is
uses their
very
key,
reluctant to
come
lock
in,
parks to begin
yeah.
with, so
Yeah.
the access to keys is something that they would.
We locked the park just given the prior usage and to keep it safe and protect the investment that we have going on there now. But no, keys are likely not an option.
You know, the city requires you, the open space law requires you not to lock these things.
We have a special exception to that.
That's what I'm saying,
Yes.
and except I'm trying to explain to him.
Yeah.
So you can't be giving out all these keys.
No.
Right, there will be no keys.
I can also attest, I mean, in Christopher Columbus Park, it's hard to get a locked area. The Rose Garden is now locked. It wasn't always locked. It was a fight to get that locked. And the tot lot, which has, you know, sadly, you know, sometimes in the morning, mothers will discover in the tot lot that there are overnight, you know, folks who had shot up with a lot of heroin overnight, and you sort of would like to lock that area so that that doesn't happen, but it's not possible just yet. So it's very hard to do what you guys have done, and I congratulate you for doing what you've done.
I know you're running out of time, but I remember when I used to sit in this room with 3 or 4 of you guys, and you started this thing, and you didn't have 10 cents, to come a long way. But you also accomplished another thing. There's no bad people hanging out in that area anymore.
No.
Not according to the police department. So
Yes.
it's a twofer.
I appreciate that. We have worked very hard. Captain Fong has been fantastic working with us.
Very responsive.
Very responsive. And I have to say the neighbors, who I always ask to keep a little watch out and report to us how's it going, and they have reported thumbs up. So we're happy about that. I think the neighborhood's happy about it. So hopefully next spring you'll see a green space where there was once concrete. So.
And it's terrific. I mean, and you've turned around a lot of people who might have been a little, you know, I mean, perhaps skeptical of, yes, exactly, that's a good word, of RUFF and your mission into total admirers and supporters. So.
Thank you very much.